Welcome to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. Now, as some of you may know, Mental Health Awareness Week takes place between the 8th and the 14th of May, and this year's theme is Surviving or Thriving. So today I'll be speaking to our real-life story guest, Pamella Santoro, about the struggles she's been through with mental health issues and how she reacted to a surprise pregnancy and then to a very traumatic birth. We'll also be hearing from makeup artist Sanni Sorma, who's going to be explaining why actually using makeup is good for our mental health, and she'll also be covering foundation types for your skin. And we also have something new for you today, and that's our vet, Dr. Michael Lazaris, and he's going to be telling us how to look after our pets and also answering all of your questions. And lastly, we'll show you how we got on when we visited a very different restaurant called Archipelago. But going back to Mental Health Awareness Week, the Mental Health Foundation has hosted the special time in the second week of May since 2000. Past themes have included how mindfulness, anxiety, sleep deprivation and relationships can impact our mental health. In 2017, the theme, as I said earlier, will be Surviving to Thriving. The Mental Health Foundation say rather than ask why so many people are living with mental health problems, we will seek to uncover why too few of us are thriving with good mental health. With people struggling to cope with the demands of life and stuck on getting through the day, we will explore how many of us are surviving or thriving and the difference between the two, why some communities are under strain and what government can do to support them to thrive, what steps we can take to look after our mental health, building resilience to cope with the demands of life. Well, let's see what you guys have to say on Twitter and if you're doing anything for Mental Health Awareness Week. Michael Fox says, so happy mental health is getting talked about. Dorset Minds are celebrating. Our heroes raised over £9,213 today by running 26.2 miles of the London Marathon for mental health, so we can continue supporting local people. Denise McDermott says, it is happening. We are realizing there is no health without mental health. Andy says, mental health needs a great deal of attention. It's the final taboo and it needs to be faced and dealt with. That girl says, I need a march for mental health where we all just upload pictures of our signs from our own homes because we're too anxious to be in a crowd. That's a really good point, actually. That's something to think about there. And Stamp Out Stigma have quoted Prince Harry, who said, if we can get rid of mental health stigma, it will encourage people to talk at an earlier age before the issue becomes huge. Well, please also do email us your thoughts, and also if you're doing anything for Mental Health Awareness Week, we'd love to know. And who knows, we may even share comments and photos here on the program. Now, before we hear from Michael Lazaris on how to look after our pets, let's watch this inspirational video from the Mental Health Channel about how photography saved this young girl's life.
Live Through This is a project about life on the other side of suicide. It's a portrait and story project of suicide attempt survivors who want to tell their story and build awareness, because suicide is not a topic that we really discuss in mixed company. My name is Desiree Stage. I'm a photographer in Brooklyn, and my role within the project is to give people a neutral, non-judgmental space in which to tell their story. I sit down with them, we just chat a little, get a rapport, and then I interview them, but the interview is actually more of a conversation. I really want it to be their voice, and I think that the fact that they know that they're meeting with somebody who has also been through that experience helps them to open up. And so after that, I make a portrait right afterwards. I try not to direct them, I just want them to look into my lens and put out there whatever they want to put out there.
My name's Jennifer Heusler-Gehring. I'm 43 years old. I'm an epidemiologist, and I tried to kill myself when I was 13 years old. I took some drugs and basically passed out and woke up the next morning and no one had noticed.
I'm not one of these people who has a story of depression that's lasted like their whole life. But when I went into a depression, it just got worse and worse, and I think I had so much guilt over not being able to pull myself out of it. For me, like, this isn't normal, this isn't how I felt before, go away, and it didn't. And so I took pills.
The story of it, for Valentine's Day of this year, I was raped by my boyfriend. A few months ago, I was just sitting there, trying not to cut myself, trying not to think of all the bad things when they all crashed down horribly. And I decided I really did not want to handle any more of this. I couldn't. The meds weren't doing it. So I filled up a bathtub, put my head under the water, and started trying to breathe in the water. And right as I did that, everybody I loved, everybody I held so dearly, flashed through my head. And it was their words, their I love yous, their them being them, that I grabbed the edges of the bathtub and pulled myself out.
I've been very suicidal a number of times since then. I suffer from bipolar disorder. I don't suffer from it, I live with it. Mm-hmm. I was in the hospital when I was 22. I spent 13 days in a psychiatric ward. And that saved my life. I think if I hadn't wound up in the hospital, I would have wound up in a grave. And, you know, you get diagnosed with a mental illness, you get told that this is what the rest of your life is going to be like. You get handed a bunch of pills, and they kind of send you on your way. And it's really terrifying. I mean, if I didn't have my family, I don't know where I would be.
Did you continue in therapy, or did you?
Not as long as maybe other people did, but I did. But I have to admit, there was a lot of stuff I did on my own. You know, research and just a journey that took me where, you know, I am today. And I have to remind myself, like I always tell people this term, write it out. That's what I tell myself. I'm in this place. Doesn't mean I'm going to be here permanently. Doesn't, you know, this exact moment where I feel this. Ride it out.
I pull myself above the water. I remember that every single time. No matter how hard it gets, pull yourself above the water.
Is suicide still an option for you?
No, not anymore.
What would you want to say to a broader audience?
Remember the good things. Don't think about how far you have to go. Look how far you've come already.
Is suicide still an option for you?
I don't want it to be. But I mean, and here it is, you know, that honesty, you know, I would sit here and lie because I never thought I'd get there in the first place. So how can I sit here and say that again? I highly doubt it because of what I've learned and the things that I've put into place and how I won't believe those lies again.
God, not right now. But you could talk to me in 6 months, and I could tell you it looked like a good idea. I think at this point in my life, this disease has taken too much from me that it's not going to get the balance, and that I'm not going to be part of my own demise, that I'm not going to play along. One of my big tenets that I live by is that the only constant in life is change. And I think some of it is for the better.
We've actually managed to convince the American Association of Suicidology that attempt survivors are worth listening to. There are a lot of gains happening in a short period of time, with people talking about it, people writing about it, press covering it. The project is my baby, and it started out just this tiny little thing that I was trying to get people to pay attention to. And now they are, but it shocks me to hear later that it was cathartic or that it was really helpful with the recovery process or something, because I don't know, I didn't expect it to affect people in the way that it has, really.
you very much to the Mental Health channel for that video. And if you'd like to know more about them, please do head over to our website, chrissybshow.tv, and check out our contributors section. Well, after the break, we'll be getting some great tips from vet Michael Lazaris on how you can look after your furry friends, and also he's going to be answering all of your questions. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. Now, being surrounded by animals can do wonders for your mental health, but when they're not well or displaying what we find as strange behavior, we can get very concerned. But don't worry, because we have a vet on hand to help us take better care of our furry friends. Well, I say furry friends because all our questions today are about cats and dogs. Let's welcome on Michael Lazaris. Hello, Michael.
Hi there, how are you doing?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Good, good, good.
So it's the first time we've had a vet on the show, so we're very excited.
Okay.
And we have got some questions from our viewers. But first of all, tell us about your background. Why did you decide to become a vet?
I think it started since I was 6 years old back in South Africa. Just
Okay.
had this passion for being around animals and learning about science. So it kind of snowballed from there, and then next thing I knew I was a vet.
What's the best thing about being a vet, would you say?
Definitely dealing with puppies and kittens.
Oh, love that. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it can definitely make your day a lot better.
Oh, that's lovely. And obviously making them better, right?
Oh,
That's
obviously, yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's get through the questions, Michael. If we don't have time for all of them today, then we'll just get through as much as we can.
That's fine.
So the first question's from Sylvia, and she says, my cat is a British Shorthair, and she usually has like tears in her eyes, especially in her left eye. Is there anything I can do to stop it or at least reduce it?
Okay. So cats can get tears in their eyes for quite a few reasons, especially that breed of cat. They often have a bit of a flattened face. So they do often have a bit of a teary eye, and it's either due to something like an infection, or it can just be something that happens because the tear ducts are a bit blocked. So usually when they produce tears, they get drained. But if the tear duct's blocked, then they just actually pour out instead. So it looks like they're crying.
Okay.
So if they think that, you know, the cat's really irritated by it, then definitely going to the vet to have it checked out at least would be good. But you can get some gentle cotton wipes with a bit of water and just wash it away if it's getting dirty, for example.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you very much. The next question is from Graziella, and she says, my dog has a way of somehow finding chocolate and eating it, whether at home or out. We know this is really dangerous for her, and once we had to pay £200 for an emergency vet to induce her to vomit, as she managed to find and eat a whole box of chocolates. Very naughty. In case in the future she eats something that she shouldn't, is there something we could give her that will help her to vomit?
Okay, so this is something we do see quite often, especially with the bigger dogs like Labradors that love to eat food. Unfortunately, when they do eat chocolate, it can be really toxic to them, so you need to make them throw up as quick as possible.
Okay.
Now, the dangerous thing is that if you go online, there are quite a few bad ideas to try and make your pet vomit, and a lot of them can actually cause something like an overdose if you use it incorrectly. So in that case, it's always best to at least just call your vet. They can then decide whether your dog's had a toxic dose of the chocolate, and if they think that it's a really low dose or if it's milk chocolate, then sometimes it's perfectly fine to leave the dog. But in other cases, it's always best just to go to the vet as quick as possible so that they can make him sick.
Okay. I mean, if it is something, how would they know, for example, over the phone if it's something really toxic? Is the dog going to display something really bad?
It depends. So it depends on the type of chocolate. Milk chocolate and white chocolate is the least toxic.
Dogs out there, make sure you eat milk or white chocolate. Yeah. Okay.
But really strong dark chocolate is what's worst.
Okay.
And basically, if they eat lots of chocolate and they don't throw it up, they can start showing some neurological signs. So it might start panting, they might start doing things like seizuring, or even just breathing really fast. So if they do notice any of those signs, definitely call your vet straight away.
Is it the same with cats? Because I heard with cats aren't, it's toxic for cats as well?
It's not something we really see that often, but I definitely wouldn't feed chocolate to your cat because I mean, you could even just end up with lots of diarrhea, so you don't want that either.
No, not pleasant at all. Okay, next question. This one's from Tonya, and she says, I have a lovely cat, and when she was a kitten, she would come and sit on my lap of her own accord. However, when she got past 6 months, she stopped doing that. She doesn't even like to be picked up and held for long. She lets me hold her for a few seconds, and that's it. She does, however, like to be stroked. How can I get my once affectionate cat to be affectionate again?
Okay. So she could just be in her awkward teenage phase and be angry at everything.
Okay.
But,
what age would that be then?
So 6 months older, yeah. Cats can get stressed out by loads of different things, and it's often things that we don't even realize that have changed in the environment. So sometimes even getting new furniture in the house can stress a cat out, and sometimes the way that they show that is through aggression. You can get things like cat pheromones that you actually plug into the wall, and we don't smell them, but it helps cats calm down. And if they are stressed or aggressive, sometimes that can definitely help. But cats also just love to have their own space. So make sure that there are loads of areas where they can have a bit of alone time. Cats love being perched up in high areas. So sometimes having a nice shelf that's their spot can, you know, help them de-stress. And then when they come down to you, they're going to be a bit more affectionate.
Okay. All right. So maybe a stress cat we've got here then.
Maybe a stress cat, hopefully. But some cats can just be quite aggressive.
Okay. All right, we've got time for a couple more questions, Michael. This person says, this is Christine, she says, I have a cat and recently looked after a friend's kitten for just a few hours. As soon as my cat saw the kitten, she started hissing and spitting. I kept them in separate rooms until my friend picked her up. However, for 3 days after the kitten left, my cat was hissing at me and making a growling noise and then hiding under furniture. This was really upsetting for me as I've never seen her behave in this way. Did I do something wrong?
Okay, so kind of similar to the previous question, cats are really sensitive about anything that gets changed in their environment. And often if you have your cat in your house and then another cat comes in, that can completely freak them out, and they show aggression and fear and stress. It's not saying that you can't ever have another cat with your cat, but you just have to do it nice and slowly. So maybe have them first in 2 separate rooms so that they can smell and sense each other, but they can't directly see each other.
Yeah. So
but
just like introduce them.
Exactly. Just throwing them together in like an arena and letting them battle it out. That's not the best way to go about it. So nice and slow. And then usually they do manage to tolerate each other. Okay,
is that the case for any animal? Say if you're bringing a new dog into the
Mostly,
home as well?
Dogs as well. You just want them to kind of sense each other's presence and know that it isn't basically an intruder in their territory.
Right, okay then, that's good to know. All right, this one now is from Bruna, and she says, how often do we need to worm and give a flea treatment to a puppy, and should we continue doing this when the puppy gets older?
Okay. So flea and worming treatment is really important in dogs and cats, especially puppies and kittens, because they're more vulnerable and more susceptible to parasites. Okay. So puppies, we often do worming as often as every 2 weeks until they're a few months old. Oh, okay. But then once they're a bit older, you do it usually once a month. But there are so many different protocols and so many different medications that are available. So it really depends on what your vets supply. Okay. The main thing to be careful about with flea and worming treatment is where you get it. A lot of supermarkets will sell flea and worming medication, but it's all often unregulated. So the ingredients aren't necessarily that effective. So we do have a lot of clients coming in saying that, you know, their cat's got so many fleas, but they put on a certain product once a month. And often that will be a product that they maybe bought. So definitely try go for a licensed product, which is more reliable. Okay.
And then would you have to continue this treatment when
so again, it depends on your pets. I mean, dogs, especially because they go outside and they come into contact with other dogs, they eat everything off the street, they eat poo. So it's very good to keep on top of a monthly treatment for them. Okay. And that also protects them against lungworm, which can be potentially fatal.
I've heard that. Okay. Alrighty, so let's whiz through to the next question. How can I teach my puppy to pee and poo in the right place at home? A frustrated pet owner we have signed here.
Yeah, it can be frustrating. The most important thing in this case is patience. They're just like babies, you know, it'll take time, but you can get it right. The best thing to do is do something called crate training. So you have a crate in the house where they spend a lot of their time, and they have a pad, like a puppy pad, which you can buy. And it means that they'll often go to the toilet on that pad. And then when you start, opening the cage and letting them run out, they'll often then go back to that pad. Or if you get rid of the crate, sometimes just having the pad there means that they'll go onto that bit because they're used to that smell and that sense that they've gone to the toilet on before.
Okay.
But another important thing is never do what we call negative reinforcement. So don't punish your dog for not pooing in the right place. Always give them positive reinforcement. So when they do go on that pad, make a big fuss, give them lots of treats.
Okay.
Never do it the other way around.
All right then. So no telling off then.
No telling off, exactly.
All right. This question is from Philip, and he's asking, I may need to work abroad for a while and want to take my dog with me. What vaccines are needed and how do I go about getting them?
Okay. So traveling abroad can be very tricky. Usually it depends where you go. Within Europe we have pet passports. So I'm not sure what's going to happen after this whole Brexit thing. But basically, the vaccine which most animals need is the rabies vaccination. Okay. Luckily, we don't have rabies in the UK, but we need it for whenever we go out the country or come back in. And if they go somewhere in Europe, they'll need that EU passport, which you get from a licensed vet that's able to do those things.
Okay.
And if you go somewhere further abroad, the best thing to do is go online and check their government website because the regulations are very different depending on where you go. Sometimes all you need is the rabies vaccination and a stamp saying that it's had that, whereas other places might need blood tests before they need special vaccinations. For example, if you're going to Australia, you'll need several vaccinations and repeated visits to the vet before you're actually able to take your pet abroad.
Okay, and how soon before you travel would you need to get all this done, all the vaccines and stuff?
So again, it depends, but for EU and your rabies vaccination, you have to wait at least 21 days before travelling to get your vaccination.
Okay. All right.
And they all have to be microchipped.
All right, okay, good to know. We've got 1.5 minutes. You reckon we can answer one more question?
Yeah, sure.
Michael, let's try. This one's from Dora, and she says, I have a question regarding my dog, Max. He used to be very friendly when seeing other dogs, especially for the first time. But for the last 2 years or so, when he sees other dogs, he starts barking at them, and sometimes it even seems like he's going to bite them. Could this be because he's not used to being around other dogs? Why has he become so aggressive?
Okay, so with dogs, it's so important to socialize them at a young age. So we always say, go out, take them to puppy classes, puppy parties,
Puppy parties?
Yeah,
really?
puppy parties as well. People just get together with their dogs and let them play around.
Nice.
And it just allows them to socialize and learn the correct behavior with other dogs. So this dog might not even necessarily be showing aggression. He might just not know how to properly interact. Okay. So to him, when he sees another dog, he might bark and go crazy. We think it's him being aggressive, but he's actually just maybe overexcited, for example.
Okay.
Other times, though, it can be aggression. So in those cases, it's best to maybe give your vet a ring, and they can always give you contact details for an animal behaviorist if it's getting that bad, and they have some really useful tips. So there's nothing worse than having a dog that you're afraid of letting go in the park, and you're afraid of interacting with other dogs. So
not good, is it?
But it is often something that can be dealt with.
Okay, brilliant. Michael, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for answering those questions, and thank you to the public for sending those in for us. That's brilliant.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, guys, so stay tuned because after the break, makeup artist Sanni Sorma talks to us about the latest in beauty and fashion, and the Chrissy B team visit Archipelago, a unique dining experience in London. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So now we have the lovely Sanni Sorma here to share her makeup tips. And people might be wondering, hello Sanni, how are you?
Hello.
Why is it, even though that, this is a mental health show, but why is it you think that we do makeup tips, and why is it important?
Well, Chrissy, I think that looking good and feeling good does kind of go hand in hand a lot of the times. In fact, after the Second World War, one of the first things that the women that survived concentration camps asked for was lipstick.
Really?
So I think it has to do with really wanting to feel human again and attractive again when you had been in such a horrible, horrible situation. And a lot of the time, even if I don't feel great, if I, put on my favorite lipstick, or if I just even put on mascara to open my eyes up a little bit, if I don't feel great when I start doing it, I feel just that tiny bit better by the time I'm finished doing my makeup.
So it's worth it.
It's worth it. Makeup is always worth it.
So let's give some tips. And what's today about?
Today is about finding the perfect foundation for your skin type.
Okay.
And my first tip is going to be about primers, because, the normal skin types like dry, oily, combination, normal, on aging and or acne, which we talked about, was it only last week? I think it was. You can actually change. A lot of the time you'll find that the same foundation will work for you if you just change your primer.
Okay.
And for you, you've got drier skin, but I used 2 different primers on you today. So I used one that's radiance enhancing. So if you just move your face a little bit like that, I used just on the tops of your cheekbones, I used a radiance enhancing primer, which is great for drier skin. But because we're under studio lights, then I also used a hydrating primer, but not so much for dry skin on the center part of your face. Me, I tend to get a little bit oily under these lights.
Really?
Yes, I do. So I used a mattifying primer.
Okay.
But we are wearing the same foundation, just with different kinds of primers.
There you go.
So if you have a foundation that you really love, but it's not really working for your skin type, either it's too drying or it's too, if it's kind of, you come out too shiny after a couple of hours, maybe play around with primers. Like, it really makes a big difference. So for example, if your foundation starts getting clogged up in your dry skin, if you use a really good moisturizer, every makeup artist has this in their kit. It's the Kiehl's Ultra Facial Moisturizer. If you put it on 5-10 minutes before you do your foundation, it's amazing. And you'll find that actually the foundation might work for you. Okay. Because the sad thing is that often foundations that last for a long time, those 16-hour foundations or the 24-hour foundations, there are 24-hour foundations as well, they are kind of drying. Okay. So if a woman with drier skin wants a foundation that lasts the whole day, you kind of need to prep your skin first, because otherwise it'll just be kind of flaky by the end of the day. So my tip number 2 is specifically a foundation for every single skin type. Dry/aging. I know that a lot of people can be young and have dry skin, but you have kind of similar types of needs. So you're looking for a moisturizing type foundation. This one is my absolute favorite. I use this on myself winter months, so when there is central heating and when your skin dries out. This is the Maybelline Dream Satin Liquid, and it's and it has satin light essence, whether or not that's true. But what this does really well is it moisturizes your skin and it keeps moisturizing it, and it does stay on. So look for a foundation that has any kind of moisturizing properties. If it says light reflecting, that's great. Another great one, this one is also from Boots, is the Bourjois Healthy Mix. And this one is, I think this one is the serum version. Yeah, this is the serum version. And this is 16-hour foundation, but it doesn't dry your skin. So if you are looking for a foundation that lasts a long time without drying your skin, this could be a great one. This one, I think I've gone, in just personal use, I think I've gone through 3 or 4 of them. Have you? Yeah. It's not actually that big, but okay. Oily skins. So oily skins is, first of all, women that have oily skins, you should be very happy because you're going to get wrinkles way later.
Just said my skin is dry and now I'm like, okay.
But your skin looks amazing. But oily skin, because it moisturizes itself the whole time, it actually does stay younger for longer. However, like during summer months in the UK and in warmer climates during the whole year, your foundation can start sliding around, and what you're looking for in a foundation is something that has silicones in it. Now, silicones can kind of almost eat up the oil, and silicones you're going to recognize from in a foundation from when you try it on your skin. It almost has that velvety feel. You know, sometimes you try a foundation on and it feels like there's nothing on your skin. It just feels like velvet. That's silicone, and that really kind of mops up the oil. Obviously, you would be setting your foundation with primer as well. If you're not 100% into silicones, and I know some people can be a little bit allergic or worried about them, a great foundation for oily skin is the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet. This isn't a particularly silicone-y one. This one is a long-lasting foundation. It is oil-free. This one is water resistant. So also, if it says water resistant, usually means it'll be great on oily skin.
Okay.
It's more or less like a selling point, water resistant, but it means that it's long lasting.
Okay.
And this one doesn't have tons of silicone for those people that are worried. I use this a lot in professional work when, for example, when a bride has really dry skin, I use this.
I mean, all these brands that you're mentioning, they're not like, they're affordable, aren't they? They're not really expensive.
Mostly affordable. I think this one, the Makeup Forever, will be the most expensive one. Maybelline does have a great one. Now, acne prone skin we already talked about last week. So you guys will just have to go on YouTube and look at the channel. Yes, look at the old one. But also, if you have a foundation, like I mentioned before, I use like this foundation, the satin liquid I use on myself in the winter, because my skin is, I would say, normal to dry in the winter. In the summer, it gets oilier, so I switch foundations. So don't, as a tip 3, I would say, don't, like, if you find a great foundation, don't expect it to last the whole year and work for you in any kind of weather conditions, because
I didn't know that.
It's good to have 2 different ones. Also, you might be a slightly different shade in the summer. Like, obviously, we should all be wearing sunscreen, but if we don't, it's good to kind of have a couple of different kinds of foundations. And speaking of sunscreen, foundation and SPF. So a lot of foundations do have SPF, but for example, I think this one has a 13. Fine in the UK winter, not enough during the summer. So you should really have a primer or moisturizer that has an SPF on it. A lot of foundations, it'll go up to about 15. BB creams have 30, BB and CC creams, so you're fine with that. But do put an SPF under, especially, well, we're waiting for the summer. If it ever starts, if it ever gets sunny, do wear an SPF under your foundation.
Okay, and just a quick question before you go, Sanni. The difference between BB and CC creams, what is it?
BB is blemish balm and CC is color correcting. So BB was originally developed for people with skin problems, like little spots and things, and CC is color correcting, so it's meant to, if you've got like a little bit of melasma, so darker spots, it's meant to do that.
Right.
Basically not that much difference in real life.
Okay.
Not
good
at all.
to know. Sanni, thank you so much, my lovely.
You are very welcome.
Again next week.
It was fun to be here again.
Thank you. Now, we here at the Chrissy B Show love to try new things. Exploring local areas and trying different and new activities does wonders for your mental health. But what if one of those activities involved eating insects? Well, we got curious and decided to head over to gourmet restaurant Archipelago for a truly unique dining experience. Hi everybody, I'm here with the lovely Julianne, and today we are exploring the exotic, as it says on the sign behind us, and we are at Archipelago, ready to try some food that we've never tried before. They have quite interesting things on the menu.
Just things that you wouldn't exactly think to put in front of you for dinner, but we're apprehensive but excited, aren't we, Chrissy? Yeah.
We are up for the challenge, but I mean, this restaurant is really popular, and I'm sure the food's going to be amazing.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
So I'm now here with Dan, who's the general manager at this lovely restaurant. So Dan, how long has this restaurant actually been here?
Well, we've been going in London for about 14 years now. We moved into this site about 3 years ago, where we moved from up the road just for a bigger premises. I mean, there's always been a demand for what we do, but obviously it's quite a niche market. People often say, why don't we expand? Why don't we open another place? Honestly, I don't think there's space in London for 2 of us.
So tell us about some of the unusual food that you serve here that we're not used to.
There's a long long list of it: crocodile, python, kangaroo, alpaca, obviously the insects, scorpions, worms, crickets, locusts, a lot of different stuff.
And why are they so good to eat though?
I mean, they're ridiculously healthy, high in fibre, vitamins, minerals, some are low in fat, and some of them are incredibly good sources of omega-3 as well. So yeah, generally healthy.
So Dan, what about people that say that you shouldn't really be serving things like zebra, it's an endangered species? What would you say?
Well, I mean, the thing is, obviously, we're working within the EU. There's incredibly tight regulations on what we can and can't import, and the zebra is a good example. There are, I think, 5 species of zebra. Some of them are endangered, some aren't. We're obviously not eating the endangered ones. That would be ridiculous. But the thing is the zebra is a wild animal. They're not being farmed. They're having the best life they could possibly have as a zebra, and they're part of a regulated culling program. There are too many zebras, and regardless of whether we buy the meat or not, those zebras are going to die because they have to be controlled for farmland.
We shouldn't really waste anything, should we?
Exactly. We're just making use of a resource which is in existence already.
What would you say is your most popular dish here?
Crocodile.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it's just one of those things that is so unusual. And at the end of the day, zebra is a red meat. There's obviously differences between it and beef and lamb, but it is still a red meat. The crocodile is just something more alien.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're eating a dinosaur.
It's just one of those things I think that you just have to try. You can't really describe it to anyone. Someone has to actually come in and have it.
Come here and try it.
Yes.
Then you'll know.
Definitely. Okay, so guys, I'm going to be trying the crocodile, and we also have the love bug salad here, which is mealworm, cricket, and a couple of other insects there, which again we've never tried before. So I will let you know how they taste.
And yeah, I'm gonna be having the python salad with some wasabi. Yeah.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3.
I have to pay the training rotation for the mobile catering. That's the national catering.
Yeah, actually, it's nice.
Now, I did say earlier that I've never tried the insects. I tried them.
Yeah.
Julianne loved them.
Good. You?
For me, it's a strange experience, but I think it's that you were telling me earlier about the psychological thing, that sometimes it is a psychological thing about eating insects than the actual taste, because they didn't taste bad. So Dan, tell us about your experience as a chef as well.
But to be honest, I was classically French trained, which is a little bit different from this. But yeah, no, through my career, I went from French, did Italian, Moroccan, lots of different foods, but still ending up here, it's a learning curve. It's very
something completely different then.
Yeah, nothing prepares you for this. It's just, I have probably 400 cookbooks at home from all over the world. Russian, welcome to the table, and yeah, it's just lots and lots of research. And then for me, figuring out what oddities from different countries work well together. That's kind of what we like to do. A global fusion. I like to take bits and pieces from different cuisines and meld them together.
Okay, well, definitely amazing. You've got it spot on. Thank you so much for a lovely meal. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much to Archipelago for a very interesting experience. Well, after the break, stay tuned because I'll be speaking to a young woman who battled with mental health issues and won, and she'll also be telling us how she coped with a shock pregnancy and a traumatic birth. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, where we are supporting Mental Health Awareness Week. So here with me to talk about her story with mental health is Pamella Santoro. Hello, Pamella.
Hello, Chris.
Lovely to have you on the program.
It's a pleasure.
You look absolutely gorgeous and you have a lovely smile, but it wasn't always, happy times for you. You have been through quite a lot in your life. But can we start from when you were younger and the issues that you went through, growing up? Mm-hmm. What happened?
Yeah, I could say that I had a good childhood. Mm-hmm. My family, we were happy, apparently.
Okay.
But though I had everything that I need, financially speaking, mm-hmm. my family, my mom and dad was together, I wasn't happy. That was not a reality inside of me.
Okay. Well, had anything caused that? Do you remember any incident or anything that had happened that made you feel sad?
To be honest, there is no a specific thing that happened in my life to lead me to have those thoughts and feel small and feel worse than the other people around me.
And this is interesting, Pamela, because sometimes a lot of people think that mental health issues develop from some kind of trauma or something that's happened, and that isn't always the case. Some people, nothing actually happens to them, but things like depression and emptiness, it can happen to absolutely anyone. You could have a great family. I had a great family. You can have everything financially. Same, our stories in that respect are quite similar, but you can still end up feeling depressed and even suicidal, right?
Exactly.
So what started happening with you then when you had those feelings?
I didn't know how to deal with it. And then my reaction was to close myself, to try to be far from people. And many times, though we used to have some kind of problem, but not big. But a small thing that used to happen in my house, for example, an argument between my mom and dad was enough to make me feel desire to just run away and never more come back. Like I even did this one time.
Really? No way.
And then after I came back, I didn't have no place to go or things like that. But I was when I say argument, it was nothing too bad.
Yeah, so small things would actually set you off and make you feel really bad.
Exactly.
What would you say your worst time was in all of this? What was the worst moment?
I was teenage, and then my thought was just stay, like I said, far from people, and my desire was like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave because everyone around me is better than me.
Were you actually suicidal, or you just didn't want to be here anymore?
Yes. Okay. It was a kind of thought that I used to have.
Okay.
Even I didn't take any decision like to commit a suicide. But the thought used to come. And what was the worst things was this, that nothing that I used to do was okay, was good on my point of view, People, I used to look at people and see them great and see them developing in life, moving forward, happy. But I wasn't like that. And my thought was, I have a big problem. Why I can't be happy as I see people around me smiling and so on.
Okay, so you never thought you were good enough then? Like everything that you did was rubbish, I would say, compared to everyone else.
Exactly.
And how long did that go on for, Pamela?
Was not so long. I was 15 years old, very young.
Yeah.
But it was when I started to learn how to deal with my feelings.
Okay.
How to deal with my emotions, how to stop to compare myself with other people.
Okay.
For example, I was young, but I find light in my life.
Okay. Now you actually went along you found a charity that helped you a lot. As you mentioned, you learned how to value yourself, how to develop, and then you started to see things in a different way, which is just as well, because when you got older, you had a bit of a surprise in your life, because you weren't planning on having children, but then one day you found out you were pregnant. So how did you deal with that?
Was hard and a big surprise for me. It's something that changed our life.
Yeah.
Completely, and I didn't want it, and I didn't see myself as a mother. We don't plan, and it's happened, something that changed our life. It's hard. It's very difficult, and when I found out this, I was like in shock. What am I gonna do? It will change everything, but through what I've learned, dealing with things that happens, and I know that unexpected thing can happen in our life. But through that charity that you were just saying, I learned that I can deal with whatever I face in life.
So you now had that confidence. That you could
yes,
do it, yeah.
I do have this confidence that that doesn't matter what, I will face it and I can overcome it. It will change my life, but it's something that I can't do much about it. I can't change it. I am pregnant. What am I gonna do? And my decision was, now I'm gonna be the best mother I can be to this child.
That's very interesting, Pamela, because it's like before you had no, you didn't want to be a mother. It wasn't something in your plans, but now this has happened, and now you kind of changed that around. Instead of saying, oh no, I don't want to be pregnant, you've actually said, I'm going to be the best mum I can be, which I think is amazing. It's an amazing attitude to have.
Bad thoughts came, Chris. To be honest, bad thoughts came like, how I'm gonna do that? I can't be a mother. I didn't plan it. But what makes the difference is how I deal with those things. Yeah. No. Yes, actually I can. Good. It's happened. I'm pregnant, and actually I can be a mother, and I will be a good mother.
Great. Yeah. Now, it didn't all go smoothly, did it, Pamela? Because the actual birth was something you weren't expecting. So everything was great up until the time when you actually were to give birth. What actually happened?
When I found out that I was pregnant, as I said, and then I took a decision to actually assume it, embrace it, and give my best, I started to learn and to search about being pregnant and about labor. Yeah. That I was supposed to go through. And then I even went to classes. I really searched about everything. I really went deep to learning and to have a good labor, to know about everything that would happen, to have a good labor. You were well prepared then. I was prepared for my labor. But nothing went as I wanted. Okay. My labor wasn't the way I wanted. My labor wasn't the way I expected.
So what happened?
Yeah, my water broke, but I wasn't having contractions. Oh, okay. And then I went to hospital, and then they saw everything, and everything was okay. My water broke, but I should wait for the contractions and for the body to start to really move on.
Which didn't happen, did it?
But didn't happen. I went back home to wait, and then they said, any emergency or something happened, you come quick to the hospital back. But wait there until 22 hours. Wait 22 hours. And then I went back home and I wait for that. The contraction started, but it was not that much. I went back to hospital and I stayed there already, but wasn't going. And I was without sleeping, I was without eat, I was already tired, waiting for everything. And then they had to induce. They have to induce to see how it was going on. And then they did, but it took long again. I had to take some medicine for my baby to not get an infection and so on. Basically, Chris, my labor lasted 46 hours. Wow. Was really long, and I was exhausted. In the end, I pushed more than 2 hours, and it wasn't happening. And the doctor came, and then they had to do episiotomy. That was something that I really didn't want to do. They had to use forceps to bring Victoria out because I didn't have strength to push anymore. I was so long there and without eat and sleep and nothing. I was exhausted. And then they used forceps. And because all of these, I lost a lot of blood. At the point that hours after, Victoria was crying hungry. And I was in such a pain, and I couldn't even hold her on my arms. I started to cry as well because my breast milk wasn't coming as well, because they say because of the whole process, and because
shock,
yes, I lost a lot of blood, and because of this, probably my breast milk wasn't coming. The midwife had to take her to feed her.
So apart from all of what you went through, then sort of hearing your daughter crying and not being able to hold her or comfort her or give her foods, it really must have
really
been hard.
hurt me.
Yeah,
really hurt me. And I even had to take blood transfusion because of the blood that I lost. It was 2 bags of blood transfusion because my heartbeat wasn't normal. And even
so your
the
life
next
was
day.
really in danger, wasn't it?
Yes. And I was seeing everything, and many doctors and many people coming into the room. I knew something was really wrong.
Yeah.
And I was expecting that the next day I would go home with my daughter, but it couldn't happen. I wasn't okay. I had to stay in the hospital 1 week, and my breast milk yet was not coming. My breast milk just came 6 days.
Okay.
To my breast after she was born.
Now, through all this, I would say it was a traumatic experience. But how did you keep yourself positive? I know lots of thoughts were coming to your mind, but then what was it that kept you going and not falling apart?
Hold on my beliefs, Chris, and that I would take it as a lesson. I always was saying to myself, it will be okay. Victoria will be okay, I will be okay, just a moment. It's just a moment. It's okay, it wasn't the way I wanted, it wasn't the way I expected, but it's okay. What matters is I'm gonna go through this, and we will be okay. That's how I was fighting against those bad emotions and feelings that was coming.
And
bad
fear,
thoughts.
I would say as well.
Fear about my life and about the life of my baby.
Yeah.
You know. But that was I was doing, hold on my beliefs, and it will be just a moment. I can't accept the negative thoughts take over me. I will be depressed, as happened with many mothers. We already have the hormones ups and down in this moment. And having a traumatic labor like that, it happened a lot. And I was always saying to myself, it will not happen with me. She needs me. I need to be strong, even for her as well.
Wow, that's amazing, Pam. It just shows just how much a positive attitude, and obviously all the lessons that you learned about sort of valuing yourself. All this came together at a time when you really needed it the most.
Exactly.
But tell us, Pamela, how is Victoria, and how is it being a mother?
She's lovely. She's fine. She's very healthy.
Brilliant.
I am 100% recovered.
Yeah.
I am healthy, and everything that happened is just there. In the past, and just as a lesson. And today, look, I can even share my experience with someone else, and I'm sure it can help other people.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. You're so inspirational. I love the way you speak and the way you express yourself, because I can see how much help that you've had and how you want to help others through your story. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Please. Thank you.
All right, guys, so we have reached the end of today's program, but don't forget, if you would like to take part, if you have a story that you'd like to share or you'd like to contribute in some way, please do get in touch with us. You can visit us on our website, chrissybshow.tv, and you can send a link from there if you'd like to ask a question or get in touch. You can also email us info@chrissybshow.tv, tweet us @ChrissyBShow, or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Until next time, bye for now. Now back to Mental Health Awareness Week. The Mental Health Channel silly woman. Please do head over to our website, chrissybshow.tv, and click on our